I have to have a man walk me to my car. I don't think other men know what that feels like. It's just scary to be a woman. And so that it makes me want to speak up and speak up for the people who can't. You can't always speak up.
Dave Bolger here, and welcome to Had I Known, conversations with interesting members of the Hamilton College community. This week's guest is Meg Swertlow, class of 2004. All right, back to the world of entertainment this week. Last week it was Broadway. This week we head back to Hollywood with an award-winning filmmaker, Meg Swertlow, class of 2004. Lots of good stuff in this one. It felt very much like talking to a rocket ship about to take off. As you'll hear, there have been a few times in Meg's life where she knew what she wanted and she made a change to go after it. And that latest change was deciding, I'm going to be a filmmaker. And so that's what she's done. She's gone off, become a filmmaker to great success. Over the last 2 years, she's shot 6 short films. Was named this year as one of the top 25 screenwriters to watch by the International Screenwriters Association. And her feature, No Overnight Parking, which we talk about, has won a bevy of awards and was called a picture-perfect slasher by the Austin Film Festival. Yes, that's right, I said slasher. Meg is making a name for herself in the male-dominated horror genre, which is just awesome. She's funny, she's smart, she's clearly talented, so anytime you get a chance to have a conversation with someone like that, you gotta go after it. So have a listen. Here's my conversation with Meg Swertlow. Now, you're a native Angelino, is that correct?
I'm a native Angelino. Yeah.
So LA to Hamilton, how the hell does that happen?
I know. I mean, like, I feel like I was asked that every day for 4 years straight.
I'll bet.
My mother had a friend who was a writer. And so she was like helping me with my college applications. And she said, and she had gone to Hamilton and mentioned that it was a really good writing program. And so it was just on my list. And I looked at like, you know, a lot of NESCAC schools. So I was looking at like Oberlin, Hamilton, Colgate. I applied to like 15 schools because I had like decided like not to study in 11th grade and was like, I don't know what I'm going to get into. And so I applied to all these schools and Hamilton was just on that list. And
was it all Northeast sort of?
Yeah, I applied to
arts?
like Pitzer as well. You know, I knew I didn't want to go to school near my parents. I was like, I need a break. I wanted to go to a small liberal arts school. And if you know anything about LA, like I'm like from the Hancock Park, Koreatown area. And I went to high school in Brentwood and the trek was just epic. And I just did not want to deal with people or traffic. I wanted a really different experience. I wanted an insular experience. I went to high school with like 600 students. So I knew I didn't want to go to like a big school. And so I really wanted something different. So kind of all the schools I applied to were pretty rural. I knew I wanted to go somewhere rural. I don't think I got into like Catholic University of America because my parents like made me apply. But I really, I wanted a different experience and I wanted to be far away.
Well, you got both of those.
So I got as like far as possible.
You sure did.
Yeah.
I lived in LA for a couple of years, and the best advice I got before I moved out there was live close to where you work.
My husband, I mean, you're at my office right now. So welcome. My bedroom is there. My closet is the second bedroom. My husband works at Paramount and it's an 11-minute bike ride. So he just and he's an electrician. He's a studio electrician. So he works at 4 a.m. right now. But he'll like ride his bike and he loves that. So
where do you guys live?
I live in East Hollywood. I'm on the border of East Hollywood, Silver Lake, Los Feliz.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I was on the west. I was on the west side.
Okay. I'll try not to judge.
So
I'm like, just, it's like that high school experience where I'm like, the West Side. Who lives on the West Side? I was like, I don't know, rich people, I guess. I don't know.
Again, I got the advice I got was live near where you work, and that's where I worked. So that's where we lived. But yeah, that was like where you are was like a whole other country. Like,
oh yeah,
I had a very good Hamilton friend who lived in Silver Lake, I think, and I was like, I think we had dinner once in the 2 years we lived there. I was like, well. Nice seeing you.
I mean, I drove to Culver City last night. I mean, I'll go anywhere, like because I'm an LA native too. It like doesn't faze me to to go far. So I went to Culver City yesterday, and I was like, it took over an hour to get there. I was like, this is bullshit, but I have to go every week, so whatever. It doesn't matter. I just go, and my friends live everywhere, and I just kind of I know a lot of people say like, oh, I can't go there because it's like the Valley, but I just go anywhere. It doesn't matter to me.
And really, it's not that. I mean,
it's really not that bad. Like, just make a phone call.
There you go.
Put on Spotify. So
there you go. Exactly.
That's kind of how I think about it.
Exactly. And so you're in the throes of filming something now. Is that what's bringing you?
I filmed something over the weekend. It was kind of crazy. I did my 6th short film. So I've done 6 short films in 2 years, which has also been kind of crazy. Yeah, I just decided 2 years ago that I was going to direct, and so I have. And I shot something that was actually shot in Columbus, Indiana, but I was in LA on this couch, and it was all via FaceTime and Zoom. And it wasn't like the short isn't it's not on Zoom. We're not, we didn't do that. I guess it's like Unfriended or movie where it's like characters are on Zoom. It was like 10 locations all over this town, and at this I am Pei statue, and then at this church, and then another thing, and then this bridge, and it was crazy. Wow. But yeah, and I'm like, cut, and then people are like the monitors, like someone's doing FaceTime with the monitor, and then the monitors look hooked up to Zoom, so I can see that with a crew that is very inexperienced, but did a great job. It was really interesting. I mean, because I'm doing all these shorts because I want to do a feature, and I'm just every experience has been just a learning experience. I use it as this is more information, so I can do a feature. So that was really, really.
So have you created a new role in the world of film of the FaceTime camera holder? Like, were you yelling no, left, turn, no, left?
I was like, no. This woman, Emily, and I was like, can you bring me to Alicia? Like, my writing partners that wrote it and starred in it. I was like, bring me to her. And I was like, this is so. And then I saw photos of there's a shot on the bed, and the DP is on top of the bed over someone, and then there's a photo of him behind the DP, and I'm like, oh, that's me. I was like, I texted someone, was like, thank you for holding me all weekend.
Oh my goodness.
Very weird. I mean, people are like, that's the future. I was like, I hope it's not the future, but it's just what we did. We don't have
was that a COVID protocol thing, or?
No, it was just budget stuff and I didn't really want to fly to Columbus, Indiana. I don't know. So, not that I wouldn't, it's just, it was all kind of fast. For short films, a lot of stuff is okay, we're doing it. I mean, it would be great to film a feature there because, I mean, people just I love the Midwest. My mom's from the Midwest, but I love those Midwesterners. People gave my friends the keys to a library, a bookstore. They gave the keys to a bar. I mean, for free, all day for free.
Wow.
That doesn't happen in LA. Someone's trying to charge me $20,000 for a parking garage for 2 days. For 2 days.
Right.
No joke. It smells like a sewer. The parking garage smells like a sewer, and they're $20,000. I'm not exaggerating. I was are you kidding me?
Wow. So 6 shorts in 2 years, and you say you're using it as a learning experience. Is that and that's why you do it? I mean, I was curious seeing and doing some research on the work you've been doing, and seeing that you've been doing a lot of shorts. I was curious, it's not like there's a massive audience, I don't think, for short films, but
no audience. Well, actually, to be honest, there isn't no audience for a short film. I've been going to all these film festivals, and I kind of have, it's all been to make, I wrote I wrote a feature film called No Overnight Parking, and I was like runner up in a film festival, in the Nightmares Film Festival 2 years ago, and I kind of watched all these horror shorts, horror films, and I was like, I can do this, and I'm extremely judgmental, so I'm like, I can probably do some of this better, and why not? Like, I'm a woman. There aren't enough women in this genre, and it's not because people aren't. It's just it's so packed with men, and I've been a screenwriter for now like 6.5 years, and I was a entertainment news writer for a really long time.
I was going to ask you about that too.
Yeah. But like 2 years ago, I kind of just saw like, oh, why not? Why not try to do this thing? And I'm glad I knew nothing about directing, even though I understand now I do know about directing. But I was like, I'm just going to do a feature film. And basically I worked to do a proof of concept for an overnight parking. And I won like $45,000 in prizes 2 months later to shoot it. And I'm still waiting to shoot it. It got pushed from October to January. And basically in the meantime, I've decided to hone my skills. Like the more information I have, the more I work with actors, the more I work with a DP, the more I learn about a shot list. Instead of just reading a book, which I am doing. Like I have this book, I was reading it, it's like I'm reading this book. The directors tell the story. I was reading it last night because I was working with some actors today. I just feel like I learn by doing. Then I have things like I have a reel that I'm in film festivals. People know me. People know my name. They know I'm in horror. People come to me. And so, yes, I'm not trying to make money off of short films. I maybe somebody, I made like $200 or whatever off of it, but it's really to get my name out for people to know that I'm a director.
Yeah.
And someone that, hopefully like someone will hire and someone will give me a few $1 million to make this feature that I want to make.
And what better way to hone your skills than by actually doing it, right?
Exactly. I can talk, but I guess I could talk a good game. I might not be able to, but for me, it's this proof of concept that I want people to see. And then it's really a proof of directing is kind of how I've thought about it. And there are these people who did Koreatown Ghost Story. It's a short film and it just got bought by, and I'm blanking on the name of the company, but it's with Margaret Cho. It's like a 12-minute short. And it just got bought by the production company that made the Fast and the Furious. It's a proof of concept. And that's kind of like what I've modeled, everything I'm doing after, because I'm think if this person can do it, then I can do it too. If they did it this way, why not me? So, and that's how I feel about directing. I was like, well, just watch how this person does it. And then I'll do it.
You probably get questions like this a million times, so I apologize for the hackiness of the question. But much has been made, obviously, about the difficulties of women in Hollywood, and then add to that women filmmakers in Hollywood, and then add to that women filmmakers in the genre in which you have been playing in. Have you found challenges like that? And then also why the genre that you're in?
No, I think that's a great question. Earlier in my performing career, I found it could be challenging to have I have a big personality, I have a strong personality, and very driven. And so when I perform comedy, that I feel like could be threatening to some men. And so that was problematic. But in recent years, I think being a woman is an asset. And I feel like people are opening doors for me because of that, because I'm opinionated and strong and have that big personality and can see, what I want to do and go after that. I think also when I was younger, I was crazier. And that, that honestly is part of it. But I think that being a woman really is an asset right now, and people want to help me. And I ask for help, and I go to mentors and people like that. So I don't think it's a problem now. Has it been? Yes. Is there a huge disparity still? There is, but
sure.
To me, I'm like, well, I'm going to go after that because of that. And that's also why in the horror genre, I see that huge disparity as well. And that's what happened, is that I looked around this film festival and I was like, oh my God, it's all these white men. They're all writing female leads. They have not experienced the things that I've experienced as a woman, being afraid to walk to my car. Like, I have to get a man to walk me to my car right now in LA. Like, it's kind of feels a little Gothamy right now in LA. And like, I have to have a man walk me to my car. I don't think other men know what that feels like, to be scared, to have someone. I've had multiple friends recently being like, this guy started following me. And like, it's just scary to be a woman. And so that it makes me want to speak up for the people who you can't always speak up. So, yeah, I saw kind of a place and a need for women in the horror genre. And so I'm also trying to be smart about it. So.
Well, that's what I was going to go next, is that it's not just scare for scare's sake, or, and I don't the bit of work I've seen of yours, that's not, there's not gore for gore's sake. That's not what you do. In fact, you had very little of what I've seen. So it's more, and there's real meaning and thoughtfulness behind a lot of the work as well.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I also just did like a rom-com, and that's, no one gets beheaded in that. Although the actors in it just did something where they like did a short where they're like murdering someone, and they're like, this is the sequel. Like, and the thing I just did is a drama, because I do think it's important to have range. And there isn't like as much talking in horror, and I wanted to kind of work with like dialogue and actors doing dialogue. But no, I don't like gore. Actually, even though I did write a slasher movie, and I did talk to my lead actress when like in our first conversation, I was like, how do you feel about blood? Because I would just want to like pour her in blood, like Carrie style blood at the end. And she's like, sure. So there is that, because I want this like Pulp Fiction type of ending that you don't expect for the proof of concept, but and there are beheadings and things like that in this slasher. However,
she says with a chuckle.
I know, like, however, I don't. So I'm going to all these horror film festivals, and I close my eyes and I cover my face. Sometimes I appreciate it, but I can't watch it. Like, I can't watch it. And I've had someone, the director of this feature, the Mortuary collection. I was at the Film Festival in May, and I guess he was behind me while I was watching it. I didn't realize I kept like closing my eyes and putting my hand over my face. And he was like, you don't like gore at all. You don't like joke gore. You don't like real gore. And I was like, I'm sorry. And like, all I do is go to horror film festivals right now. I don't know. I'm a complex woman.
So what are you learning as you crank out short after short the last couple of years? How is it going to influence your feature? It's
so much hard work. But here's what I also think. I think it's like with No Overnight Parking, the amount of work and prep we've done, which is like 22 months at this point, because it kept having it get delayed because of COVID and whatnot, is that these things are hard work. And they're really collaborative, and there's so much I actually don't know, which is, I guess, such a bummer. But that if you surround yourself with people who know more than you do, it's really helpful. And so I like my editor for the shorts. He's the assistant editor for. He's been the assistant editor on like Suicide Squad and Top Gun Maverick, and he has so much knowledge about the post, how to do post. And so I'm just like, I'm learning as much as I can. And some of the stuff maybe I don't need to know. And there's more stuff that I wish I knew. And that I don't even know what I don't know, but I'm just like doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And trying to learn like on my feet.
So let's go back to Hamilton. You go from the West Coast to tiny little Hamilton College. It doesn't seem like, since what you said you started doing, that this was the dream. But creating your feature length horror film was the dream when you stepped foot on campus. What were you thinking?
Well, I went there to run, which is part of it, but like I knew I was gonna be a theater major, even though I like didn't do theater in high school. I was like, well, I'm a theater major. I mean, that's the thing, is like the same thing with directing. I'm like, well, I'm a director now. It's like, have you directed anything? Like, no. But I knew I was gonna be a theater major. And so I kind of I like took all the classes immediately. And what was nice is I was in Kirkland, and so I don't think it's still there, but like I was in like Kirkland 311, like the band, and Kirkland 311 was directly next to the Loft in Kirkland, where my like first class,
like dance classes up there, right?
Dance class, but also like theater classes. And it was directly above us. So I would like, everyone would line up like for class, and I'd be like brushing my teeth in my like Oreo cookie like jammies, and I was like, I am. And then like one time I overslept and I heard just like people like do whatever, and I was like, shit, and I just like ran upstairs. I know. So I kind of just jumped into theater, and so I'm extremely competitive and I like being the best at things, and that's also probably why I wanted to go to a small liberal arts school, because it wasn't as much competition. And so I went to Hamilton I was recruited for running, and I was recruited by a bunch of schools for running because I was like the best runner in my high school, and I did track and cross country.
What were your events?
The 800 and then, cross country. So the 30-mile. And I was not the best. I was the worst on the cross country team. And I did not like that. And I also was not at Hamilton. I didn't study hard, and I worked really hard in theater, but like I didn't study hard. I didn't train for cross country like over the summer like everyone did. And I came to Hamilton and I like expected to be the best, and I wasn't. I mean, actually, I don't think I was the worst actually, but I was like, there was someone slower than I was. But I kind of just like, I was in over my head, and I didn't know how to process like not being good. So I didn't care. I like dropped out. I got kicked off the team. And I remember doing this, it's like legendary, my friend group, that like we were on a run, and then I just like ran to Kirkland and was like eating ice cream, and then like ran back, and I was like, oh, so hard. I just hated it. And I am extremely like passionate and dedicated. And if I'm not in it, I'm not in it. Mm-hmm. And so I just stopped doing it, and I found theater. And I just was like, I was all in in regards to theater, and kind of really wanted to like make my mark in that. Was that a
struggle? Was that a struggle for you? You go to school with one identity, and then, or you knew you were creating a new identity for yourself?
I felt like I knew I wanted to be in theater.
Gotcha.
It's like this thing of like this like sense and this essence, and like I'm not jockish at all. So, but I was like a 3-sport athlete in high school, but I kind of knew that this was, I'm a professional cross country runner. Like I wasn't going to be a professional cross country runner. So I knew that this was the thing that and all the schools I looked at, I was like, what's your theater program? What's your theater program? I just had this like sense. And I was right. And so I was in just tons and tons of productions at Hamilton, and majored in theater, and yeah.
And was being a performer the thought coming out?
Yeah. I mean, it was, because I came back to LA, and because I didn't want to be in Boston. Sorry. And I was like, I just like, oh, everyone, like I'd be on not the subway. What is it called? What's the thing called in Boston?
The T.
I'd be like, oh, that person went to Hamilton. That person went to, I was like, get me out of here. And I came back home. And I actually started working at Innovative Artists, a talent agency, and I was auditioning, and I got on a TV show within like a couple months of being home. And actually at the like alumni weekend in October of 2004, like my episode of Joan of Arcadia was on. We all like watched it together, and it was like so exciting. I was like, I'm going to be an actor. And I really I get nervous about lines. Like that really got in my head, but I did like a ton of theater training. So I've a ton of acting training, ton of theater training. And then when I was 22, I got heavily involved in like the improv comedy scene. So I was there for like 8 years just performing, studying. I've been through like iOS, Groundlings, UCB, and I kind of just like I went all in the world of improv to do like to get main stage stuff.
And in that world, this is right. There are classes, and then you get into performing, and then you graduate into
and then I performed at least once a week. I got on house teams, and kind of you just get really. And then I was like performing in like the indie shows, and so I really got heavily into that. So I didn't stop performing. I also just I let my like fears and insecurities probably stop me from pursuing acting as much.
Was SNL the dream at some point while you're in that world?
I mean, like, I guess, but I know enough people who work there who are like, the way it's run is like it was run in the 70s where everyone was on coke, and it's still the same schedule. And so it's like, no one works on like Monday or Tuesday, and then like you have all nighter. And I was just like, well, this actually sounds crazy. And then I know so many people who work like one season of it, and it just seemed like, I don't know. I mean, I guess in theory, but it sort of seems like a nightmare, but also amazing. So I don't know. I'm also like not good at like, I can only do like a Katharine Hepburn impression. So it wasn't like, I'm going to be on SNL. So I did audition for a bunch of things, a bunch of like sketch, whatever. I did like have some like auditions for it, but no.
And then mixed in all of that was a career as an entertainment writer, which you scoffed at when it came up before. Talk to me about that, including, part of me doing this show has turned me into quite the cyber stalker. Research on people turns into cyber stalking in some ways. And I've found videos of you doing red carpet interviews, which I can't wait to see now, the red carpet of you being interviewed on red carpet.
I mean, so I will explain. My parents were both entertainment journalists. So I was raised going to interviews. I was raised going to screenings or premieres or, going with my mom to interview Michael J. Fox and Tiffany Amber Thiessen, which was quite the thrill in 1994.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just went with them everywhere. Like I'm named after Meggie from the Thornbirds because my mom had been on the set interviewing everyone from the Thornbirds, which anyone younger than us than me like doesn't know what that is, but it was a big deal. It was a big deal miniseries in 1982 about a woman who sleeps with a priest. Whatever. Here we go. Thanks, Mom. So. Yeah, what do you ask me?
About your time as a writer.
So my mom.
What's interesting to me is you started by saying you had to get the hell away and you wanted to be as far away from your parents, and now you come back and end up doing the family business. Back and like live with my mom for years. Not my dad though. Yeah, exactly. And so when I was 26, this is so bad. I had 32 jobs before I was 26 years old because I was amazing at getting jobs, but not amazing at keeping jobs. I was really just kind of like, I think I was really lost, and I was like heavily into the improv scene. And so I was like, I can't get a job. Like I have to do improv at night. And so I was at like these improv bars till 2 a.m. And I was at improv rehearsal doing this and, doing an improv show in a Chinese restaurant or whatever, like a stand up at a Jurassic Park themed coffee shop. So it was like a can of a real job. So I had 32 jobs before I was 26. And then my mom didn't like how I was living my life. And so she was called Entertainment Tonight and was like, my daughter needs a job. I mean, this is LA. It's like, who do you know? I'd been an intern there when I was 18, like after my freshman year at Hamilton. And they asked me when I had an interview there, they said like, what do you do? And I was like, I write jokes. And they were like, okay, we'll put you on the website. So it was on the website and I was like, okay, I'm going to be here 1 year max. And I realized like I loved writing. And I was there for 4 years. And I'm also, as I said, like super competitive. So I kept figuring out ways to like rack up like page views. And I was like, oh, if you do this. And I was like completely obsessed with like, how do I get 100,000 page views in a day?
so I was kind of obsessed with doing that, but I still performed like multiple times a week. So I was kind of balancing both of them, of doing this job and also like I really like getting free shit. And so I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna do a story on Broadway. Like I lived in New York for a summer and I was like, I'm gonna go to all these shows and then like contact them, be like, I would like to go to free shows. And so I did all these really cool things, but and I never wanted to write the story. And honestly, like a lot of times I was like, I'll write a story. And then I didn't, which was bad. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to do this thing called, like, what do they eat? And I contacted all these like really fancy, well-known restaurants. And I was like, oh, these famous people have come here. Tell me what they all ordered. And then I'll come and you can give me meals for free. And they did. And then I wrote about it. I just was like, this is what Ryan Gosling got. It was whatever. I just wanted free meals. So yeah, and so I was like, oh,
what did that one do? A lot of page views on the Ryan Gosling
salad?
It
didn't matter. It didn't matter. I honestly don't even know if I wrote that one. It was so bad. I was like not a great person back then. Yeah, so I kind of just I let kind of that like, oh, I like the prestige of that, or I wanted to go to this awards show because I thought it'd be cool to see this thing. But my mom is like an unbelievably well-respected entertainment journalist and was the head writer for TV Guide of like 27 years. And she's a professor now at Annenberg and teaches 3 classes and is like, is beloved. And she loved doing that. She loved being on the red carpet. I was on the red carpet in 8th grade at the Oscars, like interviewing people. And she loved that, but I didn't love it. I don't love it. I liked writing and I like writing in my voice. And that's what I got to do at Entertainment Tonight because I had all these like columns that you can't find them anymore, which is probably good because I used to like, it was like, who said that or whatever. And I would just like ridicule something that like a celebrity said.
And then you end up trying to cast them.
I know, like trying to cast them, like I would die to like cast them, but I'm like glad that is a defunct website. But yeah, I found that I could write my voice well. And so those are the things like that led me to go from improv to stand up or to be able to write a pilot about all that. And that's the thing that people say about my writing is like, oh, your voice is very clear. And I was able to find that through writing all these stories. But yes, I did breaking news. I worked in celebrity news for 10 years. And
what's interesting to me is you have such a wide range of experience in and around the world of entertainment. So now that bring you full circle to what you're doing now, it's a different perspective, I imagine you bring, or at least an understanding from a lot of different facets of what goes into it, right? As a director.
I guess for me, one of them is, I think that's also part of the thing that like turned me off from acting is because I don't think being a celebrity is cool and great. I think it can like ruin your life and it's really difficult to navigate. And I think that people are fickle. And I just watched kind of how that destroyed a lot of people's lives and how things turned really quickly. And that was scary to me, but I don't feel that way about like screenwriters and directors as much. And so that's kind of one of the things I think that made me scared of acting, and had me like turn to screenwriting. So I went to screenwriting and then directing. So, but yeah, I do think like all that experience, improv certainly allows me to think on my feet. And I was just in a rehearsal right now. I'm doing like, I'm in an acting class, but I'm directing actors. And it was because you have to collaborate so much in improv and you have to listen and you doing the warm-ups and you're like all singing the songs or whatever. It allows me, I think, to work really well with people and know that I don't always have the best idea. And I think it's really fun to work with other people. If you don't get along with people, like I don't know how you can make a movie.
Does the screenwriter part of your brain do battle with the improv part of your brain? Do you ever want to just say, shut up and say the words I wrote?
Actually, like, no, sometimes I'm like, that wasn't the joke or whatever. Like, that's not the cadence. And so I like, will go back and ADR, like have them ADR it. Cause I'm like, that's not the right cadence.
Sorry, what's
No,
ADR?
ADR is, oh my God, what do I have to Google it? You're making me Google it. I don't know. It's like,
No, I don't feel so bad that I don't know it.
Now I don't know. I'm just like, it's just what it is.
All right, we'll skip that. I'll pretend like I know.
Okay, ADR. What is ADR? It's like a voiceover, basically. So it's like you, I don't, whatever. It's a voiceover, and so it's like you get the voiceover. But so there's certain things, but I think because of my improv training, I think it's like, I think I almost have like less importance and emphasis on the words. Like I did the short over the weekend, and it didn't go right. We had to reshoot it, and like I just called my friend, and we needed to do like a scene where she's on the phone with someone. And like I just called my friend, and she's someone I've been doing comedy with for 15 years. So like we just had a normal conversation that worked much better. And like I didn't totally know what the dialogue was like. So I think being less attached to the exact words, like it's not David Mamet, like, and it's not Pinter. And so I think I can be less attached to the words and like, what is the meaning? I mean, I was just rehearsing a scene for Misery, and it's like, the screenplay is like phenomenal, and William Goldman and Stephen King's words are phenomenal, and the actress wasn't spot on. It's kind of just like, whatever, like she'll get it. It was our first rehearsal. She'll get it. But like, what is the spirit of it? So I'm sure other people feel differently, but for me, like, because of my improv training, I think I can let some of the words go. But do the jokes need to land? They do need to land. Right, so there are certain things that I'm like, that makes the joke not work. So I will be a stickler for those kinds of things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so you've been waiting on No Overnight Parking. What's the status? When are we going to see it? When's it made? What's the plan here?
I'm waiting on the availability of our lead actress. So we'll see when she is available. I have to talk to maybe her Hamilton alum manager husband. So we'll see.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just waiting on her because it's the idea is January, and so that's the status of that, and that proof of concept. Hopefully it's like someone will want to buy the feature, and I think that if this is great, and I think it will be, because I have some amazing people aboard, that that someone will buy it and give me. It's a small budget, low budget slasher movie with about getting out of an abusive relationship. It's contained. It's all set. It's pretty much all set in an underground parking garage. And it's about something more than people being trapped in an underground parking garage. It's about like women getting out of an emotionally abusive relationship. And so there's a strong message to it, because I constantly think like, what am I trying to say? What do I want someone to get from it? What do I want someone to leave the theater feeling? And that's really important to me. It's like, what am I saying? What am I saying about women? That's a really, really big thing. Like, what's the example here? What am I saying about women? What do I want a woman to, take away from this? And for me, for that project is like, I want women to know that they can get out of those kinds of relationships.
And what is it about the slasher genre as the vehicle to deliver that message?
So I got locked in an underground parking garage with my friend, and we were like eating ice cream, and a security guard like locked us in overnight. There were stairs, so we were able to get out, but my car got locked in, and it kind of just got my mind thinking of like, oh, what if we had been like locked in here? Also, parking garages are the creepiest places. Yeah. And every woman I know is like, oh, parking garages. So I'd only done comedy before, and I was like, oh, you know what? I want a horror movie. And that happened in like, I don't know, 2017 is when I first thought of the idea. And I didn't write horror. And so I did kind of the things that I've been saying, which is like, I read a lot of books about horror, and I read a lot of screenplays, and I would have a screenplay next to me, and I'd be writing my script, and I'd be like, oh, I like what this person does. And I'd like put it into my script. And so I don't have to reinvent the genre. I don't have to, reinvent everything. I can just take the things I like from different directors or screenwriters and put it into, my own voice and my own script. And I also talked to a lot of people who know more about horror than I do, and kind of like the setup and the punch, and it's similar to comedy in that way. You know, you're trying to elicit a scare or a laugh or dread.
Oh, interesting.
You know, as opposed to a drama where it's if you're really trying to get someone to cry, that's like not what you want. But it's like a laugh and the scare and the tension. I mean, Hitchcock is my favorite director, and so you know, I just learning from people who know more and listening to interviews and things like that. So it just kind
of the thought of the bomb under the chair is scarier than actually showing the bomb under the chair. Yeah.
Right. That the like, I love that it's like two people talking about like a baseball game for 5 minutes, but if you know that there's a bomb under there, and it's like, wow, that's absolutely accurate of what do we know? What do they know? What don't we know? So I kind of just learned.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you tell Hamilton students looking to get into your line of work?
I always tell people the same thing, which is just like, just do it. Just write. Just put yourself out there. It is exhausting to get rejected as much as I have, but I just have to do it anyway. I mean, it's just so much rejection. It was like yesterday I got rejected from something, like the day before I got rejected from something. But I also have like too many accolades right now to like put on a resume. I was like doing a resume 2 days ago, and I was like, oh, I've won like so many awards or been in so many contests, but also like I put myself out there, and it sucks to like constantly like have that like high and low and like, oh, I got it, or oh, I didn't. But I've been relentless. And in my past, I wasn't. I was like kind of like let myself off the hook all the time. And the way that I'm living my life now is like, you just go for it. You just go for it, and you do it, and you say yes, and then you learn, and you get rejected, and you move on. And sometimes they sting more than others, but you just got to keep going.
And when you said before that the idea, the idea for No Overnight Parking came in 2017. So here we are 4 years later, and it's still not made, but you're making progress. The commitment to the idea that has to remain as strong as ever to live through that, and you know, the rejection you're talking about is truly remarkable. And I guess if you have to be committed to your art, right?
You have to be committed, and it has to be a story you want to tell, I think. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I never see in Q&A people are like, and then like I wrote this thing and then it got made. Everyone's like, I've been working on this for 10 years, you know, like, so it's just like, I'm always like, not me. And it's like, look at me. And like, it's 4 years into this, but granted, like I've gotten hired to write like a different feature film. I've written the feature film. I've written multiple pilots. I've written 6, whatever. But like, yeah, I got this idea in 2017, and I'm still working on it.
But even
I'm not working on the script at this point. I mean, I'm sure when a studio buys it, I'll get notes, but like I have put down the feature script.
Right. But even still, like you go on and do other projects. Those projects make it a hell of a lot, but it makes it a hell of a lot easier to back burner that thing or put it away in a drawer somewhere and forget about it.
It's exhausting.
I'll bet.
Who cares? It's just like, do it anyway.
So as you think back to that trip across country, and
3 flights. I used to take 3 flights before JetBlue.
3 flights.
Took 3 flights to get to Hamilton before JetBlue opened. Like came into existence.
That puts my 4-hour drive or
I don't want to hear about it.
5-hour train ride into.
I do not want to hear about it. I'm not interested. Commitment.
Although, I'll tell you what, you haven't lived until you took a bus from Utica, New York down to New York City.
You think I haven't done that? I've done that. Okay.
Okay. So
I've done that. Okay. I've lived a life.
When you think back on that first trip when you stepped foot on campus, anything you wish you had known?
Fucking preppy people were. Like, my God. Because I visited Hamilton in 1999, the summer of 1999, and I'd done a program at Amherst, and then I went with my mom all around to all the colleges, and none of the students were at Hamilton.
Yeah, I had just graduated. You just missed me.
I just missed you. Yeah. And so there were no students there. And I was like, I knew I was going to go to Hamilton. I knew I wanted to go to Hamilton. I didn't know I was going to get in, but I knew I wanted to go to Hamilton. And there were no students. So I did not understand how preppy people were because I didn't think that was real. And then when I got there, it was like, for me, it was like culture shock in a way that if you're not like from the East Coast, like I'm from LA, like I went to elementary school in West Hollywood. Like I was not used to people wearing, I didn't think pop colors were real outside of 80s movies, those Madras pants. I have never heard of Nantucket Red, boating shoes. I was like, where's the boat? Like I did not understand that this was like, I was like, why are you wearing so many sweaters, everyone? Like it was just crazy to me. So I don't know. I actually probably, it's good that I didn't know that people were so preppy because I don't know if I would have gone.
Did it creep in at all? Did you assimilate a little bit, or did you rebel?
Remotely, like not even remotely.
Not even like a J. Crew sweater just to try and fit in a little bit.
So now it's more so that I've been like, it's okay. So my mom, like, I was like, Mom, I don't understand what these people are wearing. And I mean, people can't see me. Like I have pink hair. I have like wearing all these like crazy colors right now. And I am uncomfortable looking like everyone else, even though I'm like as white as can be, but like, everyone else in Hamilton was, but, I am more comfortable standing out. I don't know what to do if I look like everyone else. So it was easy for me to rebel in that aspect. And so it's like, I went to H&M and bought like a hot pink fur coat that I like wore everywhere. And my friends were like, that's the Muppet couch. It's the Muppet couch. And I still have the Muppet couch in my closet because like I'm never getting rid of the Muppet couch. It's like plaid. It was so crazy. And like everyone was wearing, it's like everyone wore North Face.
Sure.
I did not own one. I purposely was like, I will never wear North Face. We are not in the Arctic. It's like, I was so mad. I was like, I will never buy a Nalgene. But like, I was a dark sider. My like college.
That's shocking to me.
I mean, that's hard to believe. A dark sider. My college boyfriend was like skinny emo boy. And I didn't drink for most of college. I was straight edge actually for most of college until I was not. And so I was really surprised by like the culture of the Northeast. But I also thrived in like being different, which is maybe not a good thing, but it's just the truth. So, so that's kind of a thing that I guess, I don't know if I wish now, like, I don't know if I wish I knew, but I was surprised I didn't know when I arrived.
That's interesting. Anything you take from those Hamilton years and into your work now?
I mean, my love of theater, my love of performing. I still have many friends like from Hamilton. We did at my wedding, like we had like someone had the Hamilton banner and there was like 10 of us from Hamilton. And that was, I take the people that I met, and I think I have a lot of not embarrassment, but I really did not, I didn't do the work I needed to in Hamilton, like in all my classes. And I wish I had worked harder. I was not dealing with my ADHD at the time. And so I like failed women's studies, and like, I'm a woman, like, I don't know how you do that, but I did. And I really wish that I had worked harder and kind of like respected my own mind more. And so in a way, like what I take from that is like, I never want to do that again. Like the people who know me now don't think of me as someone who's a slacker who doesn't turn in papers. Like I didn't turn in many, many papers at Hamilton. And then I became a breaking news writer. So I wrote 1,200 articles.
Constantly on deadline.
I wrote like 1,200 articles in a year. And like, that is very different from someone who like could not turn in a paper and did not spell check things. But if I put stuff on E-News's website, like with the spelling error, like that was a problem. So kind of in a way, like what shaped me is like not to be that person who didn't like do the work. In theater, I really did. I worked very, very hard. But when it came to like papers and studying, like I got I let myself be scared. And that's why I say these things now. It's like, look, I'm scared all the time. I had a rehearsal today and I was like, oh my God, I'm so scared. I haven't done a theater rehearsal in 18 years. And it's like, whatever. I did work, I read books, I Googled stuff, and I showed up and did it and went great.
All right, that's Meg Swertlow, class of 2004. That was fun. Great chance to talk to someone who is in the early stages of massive success. I'm looking forward to seeing No Overnight Parking, and I'm looking forward to seeing whatever it is Meg puts out next. My thanks to Meg for joining this week. You have been listening to Had I Known on WHCL-FM, Clinton, New York. Had I Known.buzzsprout.com. Had I Known Show on social media. As always, my thanks to Dr. Michael Woods for supplying the music on the show. And once again, Doc is going to play us out. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you next week.
Had I Known podcast show on your radio or take it to go.